9 reasons why you should have ficus on your radar when it comes to bonsai. Hey everybody, welcome to this video. Today what I want to talk about is ficus. If you have seen previous videos of me, you probably know I really do enjoy a good ficus tree as a bonsai. So I want to give you today 9 reasons, plus one extra reason in the end, why you should really consider getting a ficus for your bonsai journey. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to never miss any of my videos in the future. Now let's dive right in. Reason number 1, adaptability. Ficus trees are extremely adaptable to very different environments. So especially if you want to keep it as an indoor bonsai in more temperate climates, it is the perfect variety for you. If you just look at the environment you have in your home, it is normally not the most natural for any tree. However, ficus as a variety can deal with that environment quite well, meaning it can basically thrive also in more low light conditions, in drier conditions, which is normally also the case in your home, and in conditions in which simply it is a very, well, artificial setting because you're not outside in nature, you're inside your home with very limited ranges of temperatures, humidity, light, and ficus, as it is so adaptable, can quite easily adapt to that. And it can also adapt to how you take care of that tree. So if you are people who tend to water a bit less, it normally also adapts to that quite well. But it simply is adaptable. If you set it in one room with certain conditions, it will normally adapt to that room after a while. You might see a couple of leaves dropping in the beginning, but normally ficus does bounce back. Reason number 2, ease of care. So it is sort of linked to the first reason, but ficus in general is a variety that is quite easy to take care of. What do I mean by that? As it is so adaptable, as we discussed in the first reason, it is quite easy to take care of this tree because it is quite forgiving when it comes to its watering needs, its lighting needs, its feeding needs. So the basic needs that a tree has normally and that you need to take care of if you take care of that tree are quite easy when it comes to ficus. So if you forget to water a day, it's not a tree that will completely lose all the leaves right away. Normally it is quite forgiving if you miss one day, for example, to water, if it goes a bit on the drier side, or if you at one time overwater it a little bit. Normally a ficus is forgiving and does bounce back. So of course that means it is quite fitting for beginners, but as well also for more advanced bonsai enthusiasts already, because it is simply a tree that you can experiment also then a lot on, because it is so easy to take care of. Number 3, the aesthetic appeal. So what do I mean by that? Ficus does come in quite different varieties that you can use for bonsai. So you have the Ficus benjamina, for example, with more elongated leaves that looks quite nice. They are very small also, so you can easily turn that into a bonsai. I do have a couple of benjamina trees as bonsai in my home. Then if we look, for example, at Ficus macrocarpa with more round leaves that also don't have that far nodes in between, so it's quite compact, of course, again, very aesthetically pleasing when it comes to bonsai. And then you have more specific trees, like for example a banyan. So you have the nice slightly bigger leaves with the great pattern on the leaves that of course also looks nice. You can have variegated varieties. So there is a lot of different varieties of ficus because they are so usable for bonsai. And this way you can simply test for yourself, like which variety do you prefer, which aesthetic do you like the most, and this way you can simply try different trees and then come to a point where you see like those are the varieties within the family of ficus that I prefer the most. For me, for example, it's tiger bark ficus because I do really love the structure on the bark of that one, but also Ficus benjamina because I do love the small elongated leaves and the growth pattern of Ficus benjamina. Reason number 4, trunk development. So what do I mean with trunk development? Ficus in general is a fast grower, and that is also true for the trunk. So of course in bonsai, one of the goals we want to achieve is that we create a tree that already looks quite old in a miniature form. And for that we do need a certain thickness when it comes to the trunk because it has to be all in proportion. And as the tree is more miniature in size, it's all about perspective. So if you have a thicker trunk and then the leaves and the branches going on from it, it naturally then already looks older this way. So for that reason, ficus really fits for bonsai because you can grow a nice thick trunk in considerably less time than for many other varieties and tree species out there. So it is a fast grower, the trunk grows fast, and additionally, you can fuse trunks quite easily with ficus. It is a tropical/subtropical species, which means if given the right conditions, the trunks that are narrow together will fuse together, which of course again gives you a head start on trunk thickness by fusing together certain trunks and then creating one big thick trunk out of that. Reason number 5, tolerance to root pruning. When we look at what tasks you normally need to do when it comes to bonsai, pruning the roots periodically definitely is high up there on the task list. This can definitely be a daunting task, especially if it's the first time you prune roots. And many trees do react very strongly to root pruning, especially if you prune too much of the roots in one go. However, ficus, again, looking back at the ease of care, is quite forgiving also when it comes to root pruning. So you can go very drastic there. I have trees, Ficus macrocarpa to be more specific, on which I took out 90% of the root mass and the tree still thrives to this day and is doing completely fine. So again, when it comes to the ability of testing, of trying new things, also when it comes to the work on the roots, this definitely speaks again for the ficus variety, because you can simply give more things a try initially and the tree will still bounce back from that. And especially when it comes to root pruning, it is great to give it a try on a ficus. Simply gain knowledge and skills in the field of root pruning with a ficus, and then you're better set up also for other trees in the future then to work on their roots. Reason number 6, the size variability. So as we said, there's many different ficus varieties that you can use for bonsai, and that also means you can create quite different size bonsai out of them. So if you look, for example, for a banyan with slightly bigger leaves, you normally go for also a bit bigger size of bonsai. But if we look at a benjamina or a microcarpa, you can go really very small and do a mame bonsai out of them. So you can go from extremely tiny trees to quite big trees that fill out a huge pot and grow again as they grow fast in a time that is doable for you and manageable. So simply the versatility that this gives you when it comes to the size is probably difficult to find in any other species than in the ficus family, because you have so many different varieties there, from small leaves, as I said, like benjamina, to basically you can go even to a rubber tree and try to make this into a bonsai by trying to keep the leaves as small as possible, and simply give this a try as well. So there is simply so many different varieties that the size definitely is quite adaptable when it comes to ficus. Reason number 7, you can have an interest on that tree all year around. What do I mean by that? Usually ficus is an evergreen tree. It can happen, especially in more temperate climates, when the season is changing and the cold season starts, that it drops most of its leaves, but normally they grow back even still within the winter. However, there is normally something going on with a ficus all year round. So there is simply growth that you can normally witness all year round. There is things you need to do and tasks you need to do on your bonsai all year round. So there's something that will occupy your time and your effort with this tree all year round. And that, I think, is something quite nice when it comes to ficus. Because of course, as somebody who enjoys bonsai, I do want to get my hands dirty and really work on the trees. And I feel like ficus really do give me the ability to work all year round on them and continue learning something new all year round. Reason number 8, propagation. And I think this is a very important part for many of you out there, because what is actually nicer than taking one tree you already have and making many more new trees out of that one tree? And that is what propagation is all about. Ficus are extremely easy to propagate. From actually quite old woody parts of the tree, you can still grow new roots on those parts and propagate it this way. So I have basically propagations for many of my trees going on, growing in different stages at the moment. I can water propagate, I can directly soil propagate. You can do so much with ficus when it comes to the field of propagation, because it simply is so easy and prolific to propagate that basically every pruning session is, in my opinion, a potential propagation session as well, because every cutting that you take from your tree could be a propagation in the future. So if you are into growing your own trees from material from your already existing trees, definitely look into ficus, because propagation very easy on a ficus. And reason number 9, ramification. Another important thing when it comes to the aesthetics of a bonsai tree is ramification, so creating a nice branch structure on your tree. And because ficus is a prolific grower, it grows and ramifies also quite easy, meaning if I prune it back to a certain point, normally you will have it branch out from this area. So you cut it back and 2 new branches will create. And this, of course, you continue and ramify the tree and create a nice, awesome structure of the branches this way. Definitely easier on ficus than on many other trees. So again, if you simply want to get a better feeling for something as basic as ramification on a tree, ficus again gives you the opportunity to learn on ramification, how to best prune back to achieve the best results, and then work on your tree. Another big factor here is also, of course, the ability to bud back on a tree, so growing new leaves from an older part of the tree, which for most ficus varieties is also no problem. Here to mention, Ficus benjamina is not as good when it comes to budding back, but Ficus macapa, tigerbug ficus, you can definitely expect it if you cut it back, that also on older part of the tree you will see new growth. So I promised you one more reason to choose a ficus for your bonsai, and that is in general the fun and the joy it brings you. So in my opinion, ficus the perfect variety for both starters and more advanced bonsai enthusiasts, because it is so versatile. It adapts to your environment. You can train and do a lot of things on it, from root pruning to working on the ramification in an easy way. You have a fast growing tree that gives you a lot of opportunities throughout the year to work on it. And those reasons together simply can bring you a lot of joy when you start, especially in the beginning, when you start your journey when it comes to bonsai, because of course you want to get your hands dirty, you want to get your hands on your tree and work on it. And ficus gives you this opportunity and a lot of fun, and also a lot of opportunities to gain new skills throughout that. And so, yes, reason number 10 is just the fun you can expect from a ficus bonsai. So I hope those reasons were convincing for you to maybe get your hands on a ficus if you haven't done yet so before, or if you already have a ficus, just take a look at it again and work a bit more on it, or maybe get a second one or a third one. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. If you have any questions, of course, just drop a comment. I will answer them as soon as I see them. And of course, if you enjoy my channel, feel free to subscribe. Until then, goodbye.